Hi everyone, this is Blake Anderson, registered social worker and therapist in Toronto, Ontario. I have over 14 years of experience as a social worker and 5 years as a therapist. In this video, I'm going to talk about the notion of memory when it comes to the narcissist and just how confusing it is for those on the receiving end of the narcissist, particularly within a family dynamic. And so how a parent has faulty memory of the past and really will gaslight you into terms of what happened in the past or certain situations. And I came across Sam Vatkin's video recently, and he talks about the notion that there's 80% memory loss for a narcissist and somatic memory. They're able to function in society, become a doctor or a lawyer, and so they can operate in the world and have memory in that regard, so somatic memory. But then when it comes to their general overview of their life, they don't have memory gaps, he talks about. And this is incredibly confusing for, say, a scapegoat or a child, because you have memories from your childhood or even just the last year. When you speak to the narcissist, there's almost a highlight reel. They have selective memory. I worked with at-risk youth a decade and a half ago. The children, when they would get in trouble, they would have selective memory, right? So they would coincidentally forget certain things. And this is similar to a narcissist. Narcissists are like children, and they're not fully formed selves. Children don't remember a lot, an adult does. So it's like a highlight reel. It's more to do with their ego and how it reflects on them. You might bring up situations that occurred, and they'll gaslight you as though it didn't happen. And the question though is, do they actually intentionally gaslighting you, or are they, in some sense, obviously they know what they're doing and they knew what happened, but then there's major gaps in their thinking. And it's really odd because you obviously were there and you know what occurred. Again, there's a notion of somatic memory, so they can keep jobs and retain skills, but their memory's off. Once you understand that they're acting as children, their memory is more to bolster themselves. This can be confusing for the one on the receiving end, because it's as though they want to erase the past and pretend that nothing happened, or that they weren't cruel, or these situations didn't happen. And when you raise it to them, they'll say, maybe you're misremembering, or it was for your own good, this kind of thing. And so they probably will speak to it to some degree, so they know at some level that it occurred. But then at the same time, they will gaslight you, and there'll be these memory gaps. So it's important to have an inventory of your past and history, know what happened, and not allow their lack of memory to distort your own. I've seen where, let's say you have an older brother or sister being groomed to be like the narcissistic parent. Interesting, because they might have been completely different when younger, but then as they become groomed or older and spent maybe more time with the narcissist, and it could be that perhaps the father passed and the mother is grooming the son to be like the father in some sense, to provide that same sort of care that the father provided. In that, they will start adopting similarities to the father, like perhaps dressing like them. They might even start looking like them, start acting like them. And in that also, they might also have memory loss, or you'll kind of maybe bring up something like, oh, do you remember when we were doing this? For some reason, they don't remember these things, or they think they'll conflate. They'll have some defenses against this memory. This is interesting. The way a narcissist operates is there's the notion of not a continuity of self. And as humans, like a person that's relatively healthy, we all, I think to some degree, have a continuity of self. We change throughout the years. There's been many deaths in some sense, like one identity as a teenager. There's still a continuity of self. We understand ourselves from our childhood and then into our teenage, into our adulthood. But for narcissists, because they're not a fully formed self and they're like children in terms of their development, there isn't this continuity of self. And so really they're just operating primarily in the moment or in the present. And they might have like short-term memory, so they'll remember some like main things. But again, it's more like a highlight reel, so it's not actually accurate assessment of what occurred. It's more highlighting their own ego and their own importance. So in this video, I just talked about the notion of memory when it comes to the narcissist and why they have faulty memory. According to Sam Vatkin, it's 80% of memory they don't have. And there's a somatic memory, so they can remember how to do certain things, but there's not a continuity of self because of that sense that they're undeveloped self. So if you did like this video, please subscribe. Thanks and have a great day.